Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to everyone. Okay, my name is Siti Daleela binti Muhammad Wahid, and I'm introducing everyone. This is my teammates. It's Dr. Abu Hanifah Ayob and one Muhammad Hirwani, one Hussain. So our group have done this research, which the title of Constructing Social Entrepreneurship Intention Models in Malaysia, Multi-Mediators Analysis. All right, so this is the theme. These are the terms that I'm going to explain throughout the presentation. So these terms will be frequently used throughout the presentation again, and they are six terms that I'm going to use very frequent. The first one is a trait emotional intelligence, which is defined as the self-evaluations of emotion-related perception. And we have here attitude towards social entrepreneurship is the degree to which an individual react positively or negatively towards the social entrepreneurship behavior. And we have subjective norms, which is about the perceptions that one thinks that one should or should not perform the behaviors. The behavior here is the social entrepreneurship itself. Okay. And then we have a perceived social support, which is what are the assistance, what are the help that can be received from the friends, the family members, the institution, to help the person who wants to become a social entrepreneur. And then we have perceived behavioral control, PBC, as the capability of an individual to perform activities or the ability to deal with it, which is, in other words, is this is an external factors. What are the external factors that really affecting the person who wants to become a social entrepreneur? And the last one, this is the studies interest, which is about the social entrepreneurship intention, which is more on the, psychological behavior, persuade an individual to become a social entrepreneur or to start up the social ventures. Okay, so this is the scenario in Malaysia. Okay, this is scenario in Malaysia. I pick up some paper cutting, which I would like to address the issues or address how important is social entrepreneurship study. So these are the paper cuttings saying that in Malaysia now the social enterprise become an emerging employment sectors or employment provider. So it's very important to study about it now because we can see that it is an emerging employment provider in Malaysia currently. Okay, so down there you can see that this is our former Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, who has acknowledged the presence of social enterprise as well as social enterprise as well as social entrepreneurs until he introduced or allocate 20 millions during his leadership period in Penjana. So they launched 20 million allocation for a social enterprise. Okay, so he said that there is a growing demand on social enterprise or social entrepreneurship. So there is an allocation for that, and it started booming during his leadership, Prime Minister leadership during that moment. And then on your right, if you can see, keusahawanan sosial rapat jurang pendapatan. So that one is in English is about the social entrepreneur is acknowledged as the tools or the element to close the gap in terms of the income gap. Okay, so this is the paper cutting. So as nutshell, this slide is actually, I would like to highlight the importance of social entrepreneurship studies actually. Okay. All right. So in this paper or this article, we did some SLR, systematic literature review. Why we did this? Because we want to know what is the most factors that we wish to aim, which is the most factors that really influencing, that really relates to social entrepreneurship intention itself, right? Okay, so that's why we did these studies, did this method, which is SLR, systematic literature review. So under this SLR, the record identification is from year 2006 to 2016, and we adapt this framework from the Prisma 2009 flowchart diagram. Okay, so here, if you can see, the records identified from two main sources up there, right? First one, I go through the Scopus. From 2006 to 2016, there's only 9 papers. 9 papers record under Scopus. Okay, and then for additional records, I found it from other sources, which is the numbers is 102. Some of you might ask, wondering why is you start your search in 2006, and for your all information, 2006 is the first social entrepreneurship intention model has been introduced. That's why I started to dig more about social entrepreneurship intention starting from 2006. Okay, 2006. All right. So back to the screen, we can see here there are 111 overall records paper. Okay, so out of 111, I have to omit 30 papers due to duplication, and we maintain 81. So the 81 still quite numbers, quite many. So we have to exclude more. And then the second stage is we exclude 10 records or 10 papers due to level of analysis, due to types of papers, which is not what I really want to do on it. Okay, so after that we screen the records to 71. So my team and I we discussed 71 is still a lot, and there is a lot of numbers of what should I say, the variables. So we screen it out. We screen it, and then we have to omit another round. We have to exclude 19 papers due to a sample element. Okay, so for your all informations, the sample for the studies is only referring for the students. For those paper which is not using the students, we have to exclude it. So that's why we have to exclude 19 papers or articles. Okay, and then after excluding 19, we have an eligible paper for 52. Again, our team said that's a lot. Okay, so that's why we have to exclude some of it, and the criteria we choose is those people who are not using the theory of the social entrepreneurship intention models, as well as not using the theory of planned behavior. So that's why we have to omit it. So there are 22 papers that we need to omit, and yet we reach to the synthesize. We synthesize only 30 papers, 30. Okay, so what is the result of the 30? So this is the result of the 30. Okay, so all of these paper, the 30 papers, okay, actually the dependent variable is a social entrepreneurship. So like I'm saying before, we only focusing on 2 theory. One is theory of planned behavior, which consists of 3 variables: the attitude towards social entrepreneurship, subjective norm, perceived behavioral control. So that's the variables for TPB. And we have another model or theories is a social entrepreneurship intention by May and Noboa 2006. So they have 6 variables altogether in the model. So we put on the studies out of 30, the X, okay, the X is the predictors that studied by the authors, okay. For those who have no X cross, no X in the table or in this diagram, so meaning to say there is no the paper or the authors have not yet studied about that. So all the X has been studied. Okay, so this is the paper that we synthesize. Out of 111, we only go for 30 papers. Okay, all right. So now I bring to you the scenario in Malaysia. So in Malaysia, what is actually the problems that occurs? Okay, this is the prevalence of the social entrepreneurship across country. Okay, across country. So the sources that we got is from the BOSMA and all, as well as the Global Entrepreneurship Monitors 2015. So from this table, or sorry, from these figures, what we can see here, Malaysia, the one with the red in colors, recorded that only less than 2% Malaysian have the prevalence to be a prevalence of social social entrepreneurs. Okay, so here the fact that when the SE level is very low is a problem to Malaysian societies, because the country may be missing out of an innovative way to support its citizen. Here, being a social entrepreneur, we will polish the person to become more innovative, creative thinking, and proactive and so forth. If, let's say, we cannot promote social entrepreneurship among our citizens, we afraid of missing out this innovative thinking, the risk-taking, the proactive citizen. So that's why we think that's why the research come in. So we want to promote more people to be a social entrepreneurs. For instance, with the very small budget or whatever, they can help the societies. With no budget, they can help the societies, the citizens. So that's why we really need a social entrepreneur. We really need more people to become a social entrepreneur. Okay, so that's the problems comes in. Okay, because the prevalence rate is very low in Malaysia. All right, so we have, for these studies, there are 3 actually problems. Okay, so this is problem number 1. Okay, the effect of TEI, Trade Emotional Intelligence, and PSS, Perceived Social Support, has not intensively explored. Why? Because we have numbers of variable has been studied, but the 2 TEI and PSS has not been intensively explored. Okay, so we can prove it by looking at this next slide. After this, I'm showing you why we need to focus on the 2 TEI as well as PSS. Okay, so the research gap, you can read through my screen, you can have a look on it. Okay, so this is the one who actually brought me why actually we want to focus on TEI and PSS. Okay, these are the 30 papers of all. So these 30 papers, you can see here, only out of 30, only 11 papers has studied about PSS, perceived social support, which is quite minimum numbers of studies has been done intensively. Okay, and then about the TEI, out of 30 papers, only 4 papers or articles has focused on it. So that's why we as a team, we really want to see why actually only these numbers of papers has been studied on it. Why not many? That's why it comes into our mind that these two variables is very important to look into it. Okay, this is problem number 2. Problem number 2, a comprehensive model is unsystematically investigated. Why? Number 1, most of the SEI study only reveal the direct relationship. The direct relationship meaning from the IV to the DV. Okay, so the listed there is the people who are mentioning about this. The studies mostly go for direct relationship. And then we also have the inconsistency in literature and the contradictory in findings. So these two happen and it leads to a second problem. Okay, it leads to the second problem. So only very few studies introduce either moderators or mediators in a single and comprehensive study. So that's why we think that, oh, okay, this is the time we have to have a comprehensive model of social entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship intention model. Okay, so this is the the studies why we actually looking into it. Number 1 is about this one. Okay, the TEI, SEI, the significant, and some study have shown significant relationship, but some study have shown that there is not significant at all. So the inconsistency and contradictory or inconclusive lead to us why actually we need to have a comprehensive model. So according to Crosswell 2014 and Disayaki 2013, if research findings are inconclusive, inconsistent, or contradict with the literature, it automatically warrants a further study. So that's why we come up with these ideas. Next one is about still under the comprehensive. We see that following the suggestion by Baron and Canning 1986, as well the Hayes 2018, numbers of mediators has been identified. So based on that, we look into a theory of prime behavior, because out of all mediators that we found, TPB elements has been a great elements or variables to be located as the mediators. So this is the reasons why. All right, this is the third one. The third one is the third problems that we can see here. The broader samples were not thoroughly explored, meaning to say previously Nga and Samuganathan 2010 and the Radin Siti Aisyah et al. 2016 look at the private and public university students separately or only study a small numbers of higher learning institutions. So due to that, we come up with the ideas that why don't we go for all around Malaysia? We distribute the question to all sample, regardless the institution, either the public institutions or the private institution, polytechnics, and so forth. Everybody is included in the studies. So that's why, because we can see that the issue here, the samples plays an important role, because if let's say we just focus on the public sector, the public institution, how about the private institution? So we join all together to have a broader perspective from the respondents. So this is the proposed solution. This is proposed solutions. So from this solution, this is actually the framework of the studies. So to settle number 1 problems, so we put it as the independent variable. And to settle the number 2 problem, we need a comprehensive variable. So we put mediators in the middle there. to see the whole relationship in the whole relationship as a model. Okay, so for the number 3 problems, so we propose a solutions of, we did a studies for the multi-mediators, multi-setting institution all across Malaysia. Okay, so this is a proposed solutions, and this is the conceptual framework that we propose to have, to counter the problems. All right, so this is the ideas of the relationship of two variables are not tested, which is blank there, and the relationship has between the two variable were tested. This is between two variable were tested. If you can see here, there is very less studies has been done. PSS directly to SEI, only Farouk has done that, Farouk et al. But and as also the Malino, but then only PSS, ATSE, and SEI for Malino. But the rest of the studies, they never did on what we have been proposed. This is the proven one. So the one with the X has been tested. The blank in color with the blank one without any symbols, there is never been tested. So we test that in our study. Okay, due to that, we come up with 17 hypothesis. This is 5. This is another additional up until 11. And this is the last one until 17. So we have 17 hypotheses for the study. All right, now we come to the research methodology. So the research methodology is actually includes about 5 elements here. So we have the populations of 1,138 students. Okay, so our studies use a sample size from a special group of students. We call it an ICEBTS Foundation. So ICEBTS Foundations is a non-profit organization which is responsible for establishing and implementing the program to encourage students to improve the social and economic standards of the local community. So here, what I can say to everyone, ICEBTS, the group, there is a group of people ICEBTS form to recruit all the students from the higher learning institution, regardless they are come from private or they are come from public institution. So ICEBTS is the foundation that developed in Malaysia under the management of University Technology Mara and MEDAC. Then this program was launched in 2000. So this program is actually trains the students to act or to become more involved in social activities. So that's why we choose this group as our respondent, because they has been exposed to all the social activities. So according to the CEO of the ICEBTS Foundation, this foundation has been recorded 12% of the students who involved in ICEBTS program, they has become a social entrepreneurs in Malaysia. So there's quite a number, right? There's quite a large number, which is 12% is quite a high number. So that's why we choose this group. Okay, so the population is 1,138. Okay, so for the sampling frame, there's a list of inactive Malaysia students, and the sampling element again is a Malaysia inactive students, and we have a sample size of 419. We use two stages sampling with involved stratified sampling for the first phase or first stage, and the second one is the simple random sampling. Okay, so comes to the findings or the result. For the RO1, the hypothesis 1, there is a relationship. There is no relationship because of the p-value is more than 0.05, which is supported by the listed name there. So I have discussed briefly in our paper, in a paper writing. So I just mentioned to everyone that this was supported by the said authors. Okay, all right. So H2 has been supported. H3 not supported. Okay, 4 and 5 is supported according to the mentioned scholars or authors. And then we have 6, 7, and 8, all are supported. However, for the RO9 or H9 is not supported. 10 and 11 is supported. And then we have 12 not supported. 13 and 14 supported. 15 is not supported. 16 and 17 is supported. Feel free to read our articles for a justification. Yes, for the justification. Okay. All right. So this is a conclusion. Out of 17 hypotheses, 4 has not been supported, but the remaining is supported, which contribute to 70.2%. 70% of the listed hypothesis was supported. So theoretically, this study driven by the gap of the literature in the mediating factors. Yes, the mediating factors of the attitudinal structures of TPB on the relationship between TEI and PSS as the exogenous variables and the SEI as the endogenous variable. Okay, so methodologically, the study adopted 2 stages sampling techniques, which includes stratify and simple random sampling. And the samples is consisted of the inactive students from multidisciplinary program, which come from private and public institution, higher institution. Yeah. So this finding is actually also able to fulfill our national agenda, with the 11 Malaysian Plan 2016 to 2020, which the sectors itself, the social entrepreneurship can contribute in a major part of promoting an entrepreneurial state and prospering the people. And then we also help to provide opportunity to the unprivileged or the needy segment or the community, to empower them to master their own destiny. And then the finding also contribute to the national agenda in Malaysia Education Blueprint Higher Education 2015 to 2025, which social entrepreneurship able to instill into the people's mind, and they have the options to be a job creator, the entrepreneurs job creator, which is as an entrepreneur and not just seek for the employment. And then under the Malaysian Blueprint also, this study helps or assist the students both entrepreneurial skill sets and also the ability to conduct the R&D as well as the innovation for the commercialization of their outputs. Okay, so this study is able to help these 2 national agendas actually. All right, so I think that's all from me. Feel free to read our papers, and I would like our team also would like to extend our gratitude to UiTM Cawangan Melaka for funding this for funding resources under Grant Sempadan Antarabangsa Teja 2021. Thank you very much.